Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. Happy Tuesday to you and your family. We're taking a look here at Bitcoin, seeing what's going on. Jumping into the charts, what we're going to look at is, well, a few different things, of course. We've talked about fair value gaps in the past. Maybe we'll touch on that. I want to dive into some high block capital data here and make sure we understand kind of what's going on in the back end, but also in the big picture too, kind of where we're at with Bitcoin dominance and a handful of other factors that are fairly important, right? Okay, so again, if you're new to the channel, I'm not a financial advisor. Hope you can learn something here today. You want to become a better trader, cryptocash.tech is our site. Link down below. Congrats to, again, a lot of our community members here taking some healthy profits here recently. Same thing with my copy trading here as well. Nice little $600 to 7 copy traders following my gala position there yesterday for a 30% gain. So awesome stuff. Congratulations again to our members. If you want to join up, link down below for our copy trading here as well. It's not perfect by any stretch, but decent amount of success here. Again, average about 85%. That's pretty common. So check that out in your own time. Of course, that is free. We also have an option for perpetual futures, which is invite only for our Premium Plus members. That is our day trades that are consistently hitting there as well. So just nice constant gains. It's really a lot of fun. So thanks again for all your support, whomever has been helping share in that success. So what we want to look at here with Bitcoin is, first of all, we do kind of want to peek at a few key factors, right? So we're trading kind of closer to, we're trading water, I guess you could say, or getting really close to the support level here. 50 on the RSI is essentially a case in point where the price action will typically bounce. Now, it doesn't always do that. As you can see, we broke through previously, but for the most part, when it picks a side, it stays on that side for some time. We have been on this upper side for a while now, so there's a chance we could see that switch. I'm expecting some bearish momentum down to the 28.5 range, but I was expecting us to kind of fill that fair value gap on the 4-hour time frame upwards of about 31,000 first before we see that decrease. It does look like that decrease is coming a lot sooner than expected, but once again, stranger things can happen. This could be a total fake out, which is unfortunately very common in the industry. So we'll look at that. We also want to look at overextension too, because there's a lot of overextension on smaller time frames, which could lead to us having a potential short-term bounce. Again, potential is the key word there, all right? Let's emphasize the real things there. All right, so obviously we were about 5 days into this continuation of the downside. We can see that we see a lot more longs getting liquidated. Big surprise today, especially because a lot of them were hedged at 29,900. So we saw a ton of liquidation levels at that point. We can also see that there are more asks. Again, what do you know? Big surprise. The more asks, the more selling pressure we're seeing. So again, makes sense because there's a lot of 30,000 is like that point of contention, and there's still a pretty strong gap of value in the 28 to 29,000 range. So again, that's another reason why I feel like we're going to see the price pull back soon. But for right now, we could very well just see the price rally back for a little while. We will see here shortly. So what we can see right now, though, is that there's an equal amount of longs open as being closed. Okay, so basically just indecision there on the long side. We can see that shorts are pretty heavy here compared to longs, so that does tell us that we have more short bias on the short-term time frame, right? So what we look at here, of course, is on the 12-hour. We want to kind of identify a couple of things. So for the net shorts, we can see a lot of shorts are hedged here at 29,800. Okay, so they're pretty much right there at break even right now. Okay, so again, shorts are kind of, I guess you could say, getting a little ahead of themselves, but on the same accord, it makes sense because 29,900 should be a resistance level now that we've broken it, right? But in truth, we didn't get a full-on candlestick closure below that level yet, so we don't want to jump the gun. So when we take a look at the net longs here, we can kind of see that 30,000, most longs are hedged right at 30,000. That's a pretty standard situation there. In fact, I've got a long position open at 29,750, right in that range. I feel as if this is the lowest point we're going to see in the immediate future, but again, I'm expecting a slight short-term bounce. So again, that's just my personal opinion. Everyone has varying opinions there. But what we can see here, of course, though, is that Bitcoin's on its way down. There's no doubt that it could very well continue lower. But today's candlestick hasn't closed yet, so try not to get too crazy with the shorts. Just keep that in mind, okay? Just be safe. It better be safer than sorry, okay? Now, taking a look at safe and sorry, we can see here, of course, with our RSI, stochastic RSI, we are overextended to the downside here. Anytime it comes down this low, in most cases, like to basically zero, it really is a common point in which we see a turnaround. Okay, so again, it's not a guarantee, but oftentimes you'll see when the price, it'll at least rally a little bit when the price comes down this low. Okay, we've seen some decent rallies for the most part. There's no guarantees it's just going to shoot back up. I don't think that's going to happen. I do think we might see a retest 31,000, at least 30,500. That's where most of my profit targets are. So personally, that's kind of what I'm thinking. And of course, with stochastic RSI being overextended and money flow index kind of coming down here as low as 30, that tells us that we're in a position where the price action could do a short-term turnaround. Again, emphasis on could. I wouldn't say that it's 100% guarantee at this point. Anything could happen. Really, in all reality, Bitcoin has been a bit of a bug lately. We can see here the 20-day set moving average right there at 30,500, averaging itself out there. That's another reason why I think there's somewhat of a good profit target there. And I think that if we see the price action get to that level, we should very well see the price kind of reject off of that level initially. And that's 0.382 on Fibonacci. It makes sense for the price to reject there. But based on support levels here, 28,750 is roughly where the 50-day SMA is hanging out. Okay, so again, the price does continue lower. I do think we're going to see some support at the 28,000 range, because we can also see here as well, just so you know, the fair value gap here in this range is pretty significant. It's between 28.5 and 29.5. I'm rounding up a little bit. That's essentially where it's at. So with our moving averages kind of averaging in that area, if we do see the price break down further, we shouldn't see it go much lower than 28.4. Okay. Again, that's just kind of my thoughts there. No guarantees, at least initially we should see that kind of support if it goes down that low. Okay, so let's take a quick look at the 4 hour, see what's going on. All right, so on the 4 hour time frame, what we want to look at is a couple things here. First of all, we're under 50 on the RSI. We've known this for some time. We've been there for a few days, right? Basically, since we broke below 50 on the RSI, we've pretty much seen the price go sideways. Now, half that was weekend, keep that in mind. But at this point here, it doesn't look like the price wants to continue to downtrend. But once again, there is room for it too. Keep in mind, we aren't even overextended on the 4 hour just yet. So a lot of times when you see the RSI closer to 30 on the 4 hour time frame, that's a case in point where you want to buy that dip. We're not there yet. It does imply we could see further downside. What is interesting though is we are seeing an overextension here in multiple time frames. So we are seeing a 9 on TD sequential on the 4 hour, really just kind of telling us that we've had a full on 36 hours of continuation to the downside. So in that sense, that's kind of an overextension. A lot of times the price will reverse itself when you see those things happen. Is it a guarantee? No, definitely not. But more often than not, you will see the price, rally back when you have a 9. It'll come back in a different direction. Okay. So statistically, we're more probable for the price to go up than down at this level, but I would not expect a massive increase. I think we're probably a better case scenario in the 30,200 range, just based on our volume profile. That's where most of the volume is right now as a resistance. Okay. That being said, let's look at the 1 hour. Wrap this up here. Excuse me. Apologize for yawning here. I'm not bored. This is actually exciting stuff. Just a little early here where I'm at. All right. So what we want to look at, of course, is the Ichimoku cloud and kind of see. And I kind of talked about this previously where try not to buy into the cloud here. Obviously, we can see these cases in point where the price action is essentially holding itself below that level. Okay, so it's somewhat of a moving average, if you will. That's kind of what the combination is. And until we can get back up above that, so just say we get a candlestick closure today at 30,000 or higher, we're not going to be in good shape to be able to sustain this continuation. Okay, so we are making parallel lows here right now. So we are tentatively making a double bottom. Again, very much tentative at this point. Once again, patterns on smaller time frames are less reliable. So make sure that you understand that when you see different patterns and candlesticks and stuff, the smaller time frame you go, the less reliable they become. That being said, I wouldn't put a lot of weight into this double bottom, but we are bouncing here essentially off 29,750, 29.8 range there, and we could very well see the price continue. But once again, at this point, I think it's best to assume that the price is going to go lower before it goes up. Right? And I think the reason why we want to attach ourselves to that thought process is just because there's mostly bearish qualities here. Yes, there's some little glimmers of hope here and there, but for the most part, it's not looking fantastic for Bitcoin. The selling pressure is indeed very present. Okay. One thing to also note here on TD sequential is that we are overextended to the downside. Big surprise. We've got multiple overextensions on multiple time frames. Okay. So when we see a 9 on TD sequential on the hourly, and we combine that with a 4 hour overextension, the likelihood of a pullback in the opposite direction would make sense. Okay, so based on overextension, we are ready for the price to bounce and continue higher. Based on everything else that we see here so far, the price should go lower, right? So I would bank more so on everything else, just based on the simple fact that overextensions are one thing. Obviously, you can do a lot of overextension plays. I like those myself personally, but there's a lot of other stark realities here that the price action should continue lower. So I'd prepare for that if I were you. Okay, again, I'm not telling you to short. I'd be very careful. I'm more so, taking smaller long positions personally, just buying the dips and essentially taking some small profits here and there, right? But once more, different strokes for different folks. Be careful and cautious in how you trade right now. That's the bottom line. And again, if you do want to become a better trader, cryptocash.tech is a site link down below. Be sure to check out our BingX exclusive offer, though. It's available till the 31st of July, and it is only available for those who are using my link effectively. And you get what, $150 deposit bonus if you were to deposit $50 and trade with 3,000 USDT. Really easy with leverage nowadays. So be sure to check that out. Cool stuff. And if you are part of our BitGet community as well, we have a lot of traders using BitGet still. There's a $5,000 prize pool right now, and we got some massive contenders over here. Some people doing really, really well. So congrats again to our community members, upwards of 150 to 350% up on their trades recently. Well done. All right, y'all. Well, I hope you have a good rest of your day. Thanks again for watching. I hope you learned something. If you did, comment below. I'd like to hear that. If not, that's cool too. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you in tomorrow's video. Take good care.